We are back, folks. Chris Waters here, hosting Stage 1 of GameSpot's 2013 E3 coverage live. And it's time to talk about ChronoBlade and a next-generation console that hasn't gotten a whole lot of chatter thus far at E3, the Ouya. And joining me on stage is Jordan? Yes, and Steeg. I remembered it. It was such a whirlwind. Thank you for coming. And you guys are here to show off some ChronoBlade.
Yep, that's it.
Let's talk about, first, before we get into ChronoBlade, pick up this thing next to you right on the table. This is an Ouya controller. Let's just say, you know, people watched the press conferences yesterday. There's no mention of Ouya. There's a lot of... Let's tell people what the Ouya is, and then we'll go ahead and get into some ChronoBlade action.
The Ouya is an Android-based console that's it's very accessible for new developers, and it's a great way for people like us to get our game on a console really easily and get a controller in people's hands so they can play our game the way that games were meant to be played.
With a controller in your hands, and that one, does it feel nice? Do you like it?
You tell me.
Yeah. Got the very similar positioning to an Xbox 360 controller. Very sleek. There's not like stickers with information on them or anything. I like that. Very aesthetically pleasing. Now, is this properly linked, or do we need to holler at someone? Okay, here we go. To pair your controller. Steeg, I'm going to hand this to you. Uh-oh. I don't know if you can... can you do what you need to do from the stage, or do we need to step off and do it with the console? Folks, the console is back in our control room, so we've got a little bit of a disconnect here. We're just going to get it up and running shortly.
Well, whatever we need to do, we could probably hide it with the first trailer we've got for you.
Excellent. We'll get those guys to queue up the trailer, and then does that actually need to go back in the back?
Yeah, they may need to take a look at it.
All right, well then, why don't you guys come up here and grab the controller? And before we do that, Jordan... Oh, give us the... can you control... Does it working now?
Nope.
All right, well then tell us what ChronoBlade is all about.
I can talk over the trailer if you want.
Cool.
I think you guys have it on video 1.
Well then, hopefully they will toss Ryan the controller. Here we go. He's coming to grab it, and it looks like... Why don't you guys try to put up the trailer real quick, and hopefully that will come up.
Okay.
That's all we can do from here. There we go. Here it comes.
So, Ouya.
Oh, unless that's just the boot screen for the Ouya.
So ChronoBlade is the action RPG side-scroller brawler game that puts you in the role of a interdimensional champion fighting against a technological menace called the Chronarch Imperium that are destroying all the worlds of the multiverse.
Interdimensional. They're not just destroying planets, they're destroying like entire dimensions.
Entire existences folding up and packing it.
That's not cool, man. Dang computers.
Right?
All right, so this is the computer's transdimensional ship, or is that your ride? Nope, that looks sinister. Those are bad guys.
Yep, these are the bad guys. Here they are kind of cruising into a planet to take over, and their main foot soldiers are these guys we call the Wedgeheads, the Chronarch soldiers.
Where did you get that name from? That is totally out of the blue. So strange.
Right? It just came to us. And they're led by this enigmatic figure called the Empress.
Uh-huh.
And that was...
And so those are the forces arrayed against you. Who are you, intrepid hero, to stand against the Chronarch Imperium? Did I say that right?
Absolutely. So, as a member of the Pact, which is the union of these champions from different dimensions, you're the most powerful warrior from your reality, and you've ganged up with all the other heroes to try to fight together against them. And everybody kind of brings their own abilities and powers to bear. What we're watching right now is Auroch. He's our main pugilist punching guy. And you can probably tell what he specializes in.
Yeah, that is a whole lot of punching. His fists are like twice the size of his head? 3 times?
Yeah.
It's a good ratio for a puncher.
And then this is Lofi. We call her a shadow summoner. She's kind of an interdimensional hunter, hopper person. She summons beasties and rocks to fall on your enemies and turns them into stuff. And
nice. So maybe I mean, we see her doing some melee attacks here, but she's also got a little bit, maybe keeping in that range a little.
Yeah, she's more of like a player-based AoE and also targeted AoE player. Kind of medium range. And then Auroch is definitely like a heavy hitter, single target war machine.
Now, these are two of the playable characters or the two playable characters?
Right now, we only have these two available, but we've got 4 slated to come out soon.
Okay, from champions from other dimensions.
Absolutely.
Now, it's interesting because the aesthetic of the Chronarch Imperium we saw in that first trailer seems to it's decidedly different from the guy, the pugilists there. He seemed more of a brute barbarian. His society did not seem to be one that was ruled by machines.
Absolutely, and that's one of the things that we're really excited about with ChronoBlade is that we're going to allow players to kind of travel through all these different worlds, collect gear from them. Their characters will sort of be reimagined as they go to steampunk or cyberpunk or Mad Max themed places, and you'll be able to mix and match parts from them, just like any other awesome item-based RPG.
So the characters themselves will change to fit the dimensions you travel to, or you'll just gain new loot there that you can then change your look when you go to the travel there?
Right now we're talking about new loot. You get things that look like they're from that place. So when you go to steampunk, Auroch will be more of like a bouncer bruiser guy maybe. Or,
with a monocle, I hope.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. Somebody write that down.
And, so steampunk, you talked about Mad Max, a pertinent reference given yesterday's reveal of there's totally a Mad Max video game because...
Yeah, we're totally excited about that. That's pretty cool.
Are you stoked about it? I also read up that there's a new Mad Max movie in production. I did not know that. But ChronoBlade, so you guys are coming to the Ouya, and that's, you said it's a platform that's easy for developers to put their games on. Is that what drew you to that platform? That sort of presents a nice opportunity for you to take your vision there, or did it just seem like the Ouya has recently launched its through its Kickstarter program, very successful, and getting a lot of sort of good groundswell among developers because of that ease. Is that sort of what drew you guys to it?
That's definitely part of it. We definitely knew ahead of time that we wanted people to be playing in co-op and PvP, and controllers are something that we sort of designed the controls around. You've got 4 abilities, 4 items, so that we can map it easily to a controller. And the Ouya specifically was really helpful for us because it's kind of an open market. It's free-to-play model that we use, and so it works really well with the way that they've set up their system.
All right, so talk a little bit about free-to-play model, because that's obviously that's been huge on PCs for years now, and actually it looks like we're seeing some gameplay on screen. So forget that free-to-play nonsense. Tell me what's going on the screen, and we'll talk about free-to-play later.
Cool. So
Loot.
This is Lofi running around grabbing some items real quick. This is our initial demo for Ouya. And it's basically a survival mode that you can play with 1 or 2 players right now. So Lofi's here she's got her 4 abilities that you can see down there on the right, and her 4 items that are mapped to the arrow buttons there on the left. And you can probably recognize the health and energy orbs.
Red and blue. There's something about those a little familiar. And this is but you are just straight beating up these dudes and comboing together your attacks. These abilities don't appear to be on any kind of cooldown. They're just kind of actually there we go. I'm seeing cooldown meters there.
So everything that you're seeing right now is basically a core attack. So none of those take energy. They don't have cooldowns. But if he hits the L1, L2, yeah, that's a special ability, and they're sort of situational, really helpful to contain your combos.
Yeah, and those skills are based on a skill tree, so you'll be able to customize your character very minutely by going there and deciding what you're going to use.
And what is this? I don't want to call it a soccer ball that's floating over her shoulder, but it's that little black and white familiar. What is that little guy there?
So we call this an Eidolon. It's actually a creature that's sort of a companion to Lofi, whose name is Not, and the powers of that creature sort of change based on different items that you give to it that change what it looks like and how it works.
All right, now all this punchy, kicky, Eidolon smashing. This, obviously you've got to sort of survive in this area. Lofi is making pretty short work of these guys who are standing in her way. How does the challenge level sort of ramp up here in ChronoBlade as you combo your way through?
Well, these guys are obviously the introduction characters, but eventually you run into guys who will, and you'll run into them here pretty quick. They'll shoot at you, throw down grenades. They'll block you. We have a light attack, heavy attack, block breaking abilities. We got dodging, and so you really are going to be forced to use all of those things in order to get further along in the game. We really wanted to push a skill-based kind of Twitch-style combat system with this, something kind of like you might play in an arcade with your friends.
Yeah, and actually, that health is looking pretty low, so it's clearly some of these guys are putting up a good fight, and now we see the flashing red orb of doom, and will the demoer die during a live gameplay demo?
Oh, absolutely is going to, because it's survival mode, but...
Death is inevitable in survival mode, despite what the name may imply. But hopefully we'll get a little more score out of this. And survival mode, sometimes that's about surviving a certain amount of waves. Sometimes that's about chasing a score. Is all that stuff sort of core to this mode here in ChronoBlade?
Yeah, there's lots of different gameplay modes that we have, including on Ouya we have multiplayer, which is pretty cool.
Now, what do you mean by multiplayer? Because we talked about cooperative two-player. One person being this character, the other one being the Aurochs. Auroch. What do you mean by multiplayer, though? Tell me.
So we tend to have both eventually on every platform that we go to. That's sort of one of the things that we built this game around. But right now, what's in the Ouya?
Right now we have the 1 and 2 player co-op survival mode, and that's really the kind of the combat demo to show people what the game is like. But we're definitely in progress on PvP. Team-based 2v2 PvP guild system. It's a big game, and it's getting bigger.
And it's getting even bigger now. We'll just take a quick look at Auroch in action and see what those giant blade fist gauntlet extravaganza things he's got clamped on. But as we're seeing Auroch fight, anything else you guys want to mention about ChronoBlade here?
Yeah, so the gameplay that you're seeing here is obviously a very sort of beat 'em up arcade-style gameplay, but behind this is a pretty full-featured RPG as well. I mentioned the skill trees before. There's also a very fully featured inventory system where you can equip your character with different kinds of armor and weapons and things like that. So it's a hybrid, as Jordan mentioned before, of those two genres that we think is pretty interesting and hasn't really been seen before.
And of course, underneath it all, that insatiable lust that most gamers have for loot.
Absolutely.
Get it? Yeah, absolutely.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
We have that.
Loot.
Yeah.
Sorry, that was terrible. You were saying?
Yeah, so there's a ton of items in this game. I don't remember how many looks of armors there are. Maybe you remember.
Well, right now there's I think the number is 2,377 pieces of equipment that you can get, and that's just looks. It's not counting all the variations from stats.
That is not a small number.
And there's lots of different properties that go along with those different armors and weapons that you can find as well. So there's a lot to explore. There's a lot of loot, as you mentioned, to crave in this game, and really search and explore the game looking for.
So ChronoBlade coming to the Ouya, going to be free to play.
Yes, it is.
And also available on Facebook. What are you saying?
Yeah, we're in closed beta right now, but we'll be entering open beta here pretty quick.
And if anyone is curious about getting themselves into that open beta, what should they do?
ChronoBlade.com.
ChronoBlade.com. All right, Jordan, Steek, thank you so much for coming by, showing off some ChronoBlade and Ouya demo here on our live show.
Thank you.
Much appreciated. All right, folks, that was your glimpse at the Ouya because, man, there's more than just 2 next-generation consoles. Didn't you know? Speaking of next generation, coming up next, we've got our demo for Destiny. We're going to be taking a look at Bungie's new awesomeness that we just saw gameplay for yesterday, and I'm going to try to keep it under control and not go total giddy fanboy all over it. But first, we're going to take a quick break. We'll see you back shortly.